The Seagull by Anton Chekhov. Short questions with answers. Question 1. What does the seagull represent in the seagull? First, in Act 1, Nina uses a seagull to describe the way she is drawn to the lake of her childhood home and her neighbors on Soren's estate. In this case, the seagull represents freedom and security. In Act 2, Triplev shoots a seagull and gives it to Nina. Question 2. Plot on the romantic and artistic conflict between the young and upcoming Nina and aging Arkadina, as well as the ever experimental Constantine and the legendary Trigorin. Irina, an aging actress, along with her lover Boris, visits her brother Constantine at his country estate. A neighbor who is in relationship with Constantine falls in love with Boris. Nina, a neighbor who is in a relationship with Constantine, falls in love with Boris. Question 3. Is the Seagull a comedy or tragedy? Give reasons for your answer. The Seagull is a comedy whose tragedy arises from the ridiculousness of its characters. We warm, we warm to them because they wear their absurdities so blatantly on their sleeves. The tragedy is that they get the opportunities to become better versions of themselves and always fail. They are irresistibly human. Question 4. Who does Nina run away with in The Seagull? He is distraught because he failed. He is distraught because he failed in front of Nina, whom he loves. A couple of weeks later, in Act 2, Nina has fallen out of love with Constantine when he shoots a seagull and threatens to kill himself. She just moves farther away from him and toward the writer Trigorin. Question 5. Does the seagull die in the shallows? Nancy is left alone when the unaware locals leave the beach, and she spends the night on the rock with a wounded red-billed gull, which was also injured by the shark, and names him Stephen Seagull. While wading out into the shallow water to steal Nancy's surfboard, however, he is killed by the shark. Question 6. Why do seagulls suddenly appear? Seagulls are opportunists. If you tossed out food which is attracting them, they will be cawing, flying, fighting for position, etc. If you tossed out food which is attracting them, they will be cawing, flying, fighting for positions, etc. So, a flock of seagulls. Question 7. Does Constantine kill himself in the seagull? Tortured by his unrequited love for Nina and the ill-favored reception of his play, Constantine shoots a seagull, a symbol of innocence and freedom. Shortly after, he attempts suicide, and so at the end of the play, he finally succeeds in taking his own life. Question 8. Why does Dawn tell Trigorin to get Arkadina out of the room? In the last scene of the Seagull, Dawn tells Trigorin privately that he needs to get Irina Arkadina out of the house quickly because Triplev has shot himself. Arkadina does not hear Dawn's sad news before the play's end. Question 9. Why does Triplev kill himself? The protagonist of Chekhov's comedy, The Seagull, aspires to be a great, innovative writer and to win the heart of his beloved. But when he fails as an artist and as a lover, he kills himself. Triplev commits suicide because found he has never found his magic, arguably a fitting counterpart to Exler's dilemma. Question 10. What happens at the end of the Seagull? There's no hoopla at the end of the Seagull. After the unhurried pace of the rest of the play, in the ending, with just 4 lines after the gunshot, almost feels rushed. Constantine has killed himself without fanfare and done so off stage. Thank God, thank goodness. Question 11. How old is Nina in The Seagull? What is her role in the play? Nina is a 19-year-old neighbor of Soren's estate who grew up in an estate bordering the same lake that acts as a for the play. She is one of the four protagonists of the play. Nina is a beautiful young neighbor of Constantine. She is infatuated with famous people such as Constantine's mother and the renowned novelist Boris Alexeyevich Trigorin. She desires to become a famous actress in her own right. Question 12. How old is Constantine in the Seagull? Constantine Ripley wants to do something, be heard, be someone. He is 24 and the son of the leading lady, Irina Arkadina. Until he was old enough to go to boarding school, he grew up in his mother's pocket as she toured the regions working for various theatrical companies before she became a star. Question 13. How many acts does the play The Seagull have? The Seagull, drama in 4 acts by Anton Chekhov, performed in 1896 and published in Russian the following year as Chaika. A revised edition was published in 1904. The play deals with lost opportunities and the clash between generations. The main characters, all artists, are guests at a country estate. Question 14. What maddened the seagull? The young seagull had not eaten anything since a long time. His hunger was only intensified when he saw his mother tearing a piece of fish, just the way he loved to do. This sight absolutely maddened him, and he was ready to do anything to satisfy his hunger. Question 15. What is the role of the decadent school, the Seagull? The so called decadent movement in Russia both predated and succeeded the symbolist movement with which it had much in common, but which was characterized by a greater concern with aestheticism. The hero of this play is a sculptor and a member of the decadent. Question 16. What is the role of Dr. Dawn in the Seagull? Dr. Dawn is a country doctor and friend of Sorin and Irina. Unlike the other characters, he appreciates Constantine's groundbreaking writing style. Question 17. What is the role of the weather as a symbol in the Seagull? Chekhov uses weather to create the tone for his stories, and in his plays, the weather reflects the character's state of mind and foreshadows upcoming events. For instance, before Nina returns to visit Riplev, the weather is stormy and windy, as if the storm conjured up Nina and brought her to the state. Storms usually reflect a change in temperature, and likewise, weather is a signal for change in the seagull. Question 18. What is the role of the play within the play in the seagull? Chekhov uses Constantine's play as a polemical riposte to the kind of theatre he has criticized in conversation with his uncle early in Act 1. Constantine's practice is closer to the Greeks, the Romans, and the Elizabethan in having his theatre open to the elements with a wooden proscenium, arc, and a drop curtain. Question 19. What is the setting of the play, The Seagull? It is after sunset, and a makeshift homemade stage stands in the outdoor setting of Soren's provincial Russian estate and farm. A lake serves as natural scenery behind the stage. Medvedenko, a poor school teacher, believes he would be a happier man and a more attractive suitor to Masha if he had more money. Masha, the daughter of the state manager Shamraev, fixates on her love for Triplev and does not agree. Snorting snuff, Masha openly acknowledges that she knows Medvedenko loves her, but explains that she cannot love him back. Question 20. Locate and annotate. Idea of a short story. Idea of a short story. The shore of a lake. A young girl who spent her whole life beside it. A girl like you, she loves the lake the way a seagull does. And she is happy and free as a seagull. These lines are taken from Anton Chekhov's play The Seagull, Trigorin story of a girl who falls tragically like the seagull at the hands of a man who has nothing better to do than destroy her, has predicted Nina's fate, but it has not captured her spirit. Nina survives her lost innocence with headstrong fearlessness. She learns a lesson about herself and her life's calling, like so many of ours, to endure. Ironically, it is Triplev who, paralyzed by his inability to produce concrete work from his visions of creative thought, destroys himself because he cannot endure his lost love nor his lack of direction. Question 21. What is the role of Sorin in the play The Seagull? Sorin is the 60-year-old landowner of the estate where the play takes place. He spent his life working for a government office and retired to his country farm. Soren is the brother of Arkadina and the uncle to Triplev. His health deteriorates during the course of the play. Soren is a patient listener, a confident and a compassionate admirer of both his nephew and sister's talents. He is disappointed with his life's decision, its outcome. He once wished to find love and be a successful writer, and never acquired either wish. Sorin sees himself in the young Triplev and asks his sister Arkadina to be easier on Triplev's vulnerable confidence. Sorin can be wistful, nostalgic, and wise. Okay, there is the end.